Hey guys, hope you're doing well today, and I'm excited to talk to you about the 2022 Bassmaster Classic. This event has a special place in my heart. Unfortunately, I won't be fishing it this year, but I did back in 2020, and I've always followed the Classic close, but after that, I've been really eager to see when it happens, what's going down, and I like to take a look at the lakes beforehand. So we did this in 2020 when I fished Guntersville. I did kind of a preview of the lake, how it was setting up, how my practice went. But then last year I also did it for Lake Ray Roberts where they were at. It was fun just to kind of take a look through some of the baits that I thought they might be eating there. And then I like to go over on the map here. We'll see, got my Lowrance up with the C-map chip up on this one. And we're gonna go over Lake Hartwell, some areas that I would check out, some high percentage places I think would be worth looking at. So for you guys that don't know Lake Hartwell, I've personally never fished it, but it doesn't matter. I fished Smith Lake, Lake Lanier, similar lakes that in the pre-spawn should set up and fish like Hartwell is going to for them this year. And it's fun. Honestly, I've looked at the map quickly here right before we started talking, but I don't know much about it, so I'm going to go through it with you. I'll turn the camera around, we'll look straight down on it. I'll throw some waypoints down there for you guys to take a look, maybe something you want to check out in the future as well. But when is it? It's March 4th through the 6th, so we're coming up here less than 10 days away at this point. And what's going to be a big player here is it's going to really be temperature dependent. I've been watching the weather. They've had the last few days some 70-degree days. The lows haven't been too bad. Coming up, they get a couple colder days here. I think that's on through the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, maybe even into Monday, where it's in like the high 50s, low 60s, and the nights are dropping into like the high 30s. So it's going to be that little bit of warming trend. That water should be pushing up here temperature wise, and then the week where they're getting ready to go, they got mid 60s and up, and those fish are going to be ready to eat and fire it up. It looks like it should be setting up perfect temperature wise. It should get a lot of those fish out of that winter mood. When they were there, I don't remember the year where that Casey Ashley won. He was throwing that Road Runner and crawling that along with a fluke on the bottom. He was fishing out, I believe, in like 20 to 40 foot and some of that standing timber and that sort of stuff. I don't think there's gonna be fish to be caught that way, but I think there's gonna be more shallower fish, kind of how when Jordan Lee won. So, some other things to take into consideration is the lake level. So when Jordan Lee won, you guys all know Christie had a really good shot at finishing it off the final day, and his bite kind of died when he was fishing that shallow, I think it was dog fennel and some other things like that. The water's not quite a foot low right now from full pool. It's at 659. 660 is the full pool there, and I've heard that grass isn't growing quite like it did before, so it doesn't have that shallow element to for those fish to really get into, and that's what would get a lot of those big largemouth up playing. And I think Christie was catching them on a jackhammer and a spinnerbait when he was doing it. But there'll still be some times that will play and can set up. But I think a lot of this is going to be early mornings going to be key. You're going to try to go out there. I would fish that deeper water and get in that 15 to 30 foot, maybe even out to 40. Look for those schooling spotted bass. Catch that hopefully 12 to 15 pounds that get you a good solid limit, and then you're going to go shallow. You're going to want to go look, try to catch those big largemouth. You could skip one of these Nico rigs. We were talking about this the other day. This is the bang stick. I wouldn't go with June bug there, just watercolority. We go something more natural, green pumpkin. There's a cool smelt color in this bang stick that's really natural looking, because there's a lot of blueback herring there. And when they're keying in on that, that's why those spotted bass get so big, and the largemouth, but it makes them a little more pelagic, where they're swimming out, they'll start schooling out over nothing at times. So you gotta pay attention for that. I have a spot on Smith Lake this past year when I was fishing the MLF Pro Circuit event, that they would just come up and school on it, and it was just kind of random when they would do it, but you could see the blueback herring. They would sit in that zero from like the surface basically down to 15 foot deep, and it didn't matter if you were in 15 foot deep or if you're in 200 foot. They were just chasing those schools of bluebacks around, and That's where that Lowrance active target really plays a huge role in helping you catch those fish. And there's some baits I would throw. I would throw this Nico rig through it. The Z-Man diesel minnow, that's a good bait to throw through it as well. Because then you're crawling it through there. That's about the size of a lot of those bluebacks. There's some that are bigger, but that's a good size there to try. So when you're fishing those offshore ones, that's kind of some techniques for them. Another thing, I would go with this Z-Man TRD. It's called the Deal. You can see it's got that darker top, and then it's got the bottom that's kind of the pearly color. It's my favorite color. I would go with a little lighter head, and you can throw that out there and let it glide down past them. A lot of times those spots will pick it up as it's falling. If you're fishing like a channel swing, you could take the hula stick, throw that up on the bank, and kind of work it off the shelfy areas where a lot of times those channel swings come up. It's real deep, but those fish like to set up on it. A couple years ago, we were fishing the pre-spawn at Lake Lanier, and I was catching them on a bait similar to the diesel minnow at the time, and I was catching them on like wind bloom points. You'd find those wind bloom points. I'd fish out off the bank with the swim bait, and then when I would go up shallow, that's where you'd want to take a bait like the MR6 or even the MR12. They're both really good crankbaits that have that tight wiggle, so when that water is colder, I don't know the exact water temperature down there right now, but I would guess it's probably in the, I would think low 50s maybe. I don't know that for a fact, but I would guess that's probably about where it's at right now. But these baits, when you find those wind-blown areas that's got like a channel swing or a point, that's what you really want to target, those bigger spotted bass. And you'll catch them largemouth doing it too, but I would throw that crankbait down there on those wind-blown areas in Lanier, just cranking, digging around in the rock, digging around, it was just load up, and it was a lot of fun. Another idea is if you're on those channel swings, throw this the SB57. It's a square bill. It comes through laydowns really well. It's got that circuit board lip, and it just digs, and it comes out of the wood. You'll catch this big largemouth that way too. So let's take a look at the actual lake itself. I'm gonna readjust you guys here, get you all set up so you can see exactly what we're looking at. Another bait there is that I wanted to show you is the Z-Man Streaks. You know Gussie's gonna have that on there, and he's gonna be trying to put that to work. Give me a second here, and we'll get you all situated. That way I can have my hands free and just try to show you what's going on. Alrighty, so this is Lake Hartwell. I'm gonna zoom out. Here's the dam, we're down here, and then you kind of work your way up. We got some creek arms, and then we got this other part that's got Town Creek here. We got another big creek arm here. It looks like it's called Martin Creek. And then what's this guy called over here? We got little arms coming off of it. Well, it's the westernmost arm. I don't know if it's called, there's like Sugar Creek. There's a bunch of little creeks in it, but let's start down at the dam. So this is where you're gonna find a lot of your spotted bass. The deepest water here, you can see on the sea map, I'll just go over that colored wise. The dark blue is super deep. It looks like it's 120, 130, 140 out there, real deep. And then as you get shallower, these green here, that's 20, like 20 foot. The white's in that 30 to 45. That light blue is in like 55 to 80 there. So it's just your typical topo lines. You get up shallow and you got, the red is probably 5 foot and less, I would guess. Yeah, 5 foot and less, and then the orange is like 0 to 10. So that just gives you a general idea of what I'm looking at. And you can adjust all this. I could show you real quick. Just go hit more options, chart options, go down to your shading, go back. Then you can do, depending on which one you want to do, you can do custom, and that's where you can change what color palette you're on. You can do 0 to 5. It just allows you to adjust it all exactly how you want. But we'll just leave it normal for here, get started. What these bluebacks are gonna be doing this time of year is they like to get back in those creeks. So even the main river is right here, coming up through. They like to go and find these like creek arms off of it. So like if I was starting, I would check like one of these out. Let's see what we got here. So you can see you have pretty good depth there. It stays in 80 foot. And those blueback herrings will just load up in the creek channel. It's really cool to see. And you'll figure out what depth they're in. You'll figure out if you need to throw a swim bait through them, jerk bait, if you got a drop shot. sink, like Demiki rig them, whatever it is. But then you also want to check for these points. Like I like ones like this where it gets these real tight contours where it's a quick steep drop. So when those bluebacks come across it, or the spotted bass, they'll actually come out from this deeper water and press them, force them up along these ridges like this on the point, and that's how they basically eat them. So they do that there. They'll do it on something like this. And I would want to make sure there's some wind on it, because that helps push and blow the bluebacks in. So say you had a north wind coming like straight out of the north, these ones here would all be good ones worth checking out. As we keep moving along, let's see. This guy here, this would be a good one. It's at the mouth of the creek, so you get the pre-spawners that are setting up, getting ready, because they're going to go back into these coves here. They're going to spawn on these points. They're going to spawn back on the edges of all this. What the C-map does not show you here is the docks. Docks are going to be a big player in this, and that's where, as the day gets later, that's when you're going to go from, I would say, just say we found fish in this creek here. We're going to fish these deeper areas here, checking for those spotted bass in the morning. Try to catch your 12, 15 pounds. You're going to try to call up and get up to whatever, 17, 18, 20 pounds, whatever you can get to. And that's when you're going to go looking for some largemouth. You're going to check some of these northern pockets. That's where they're going to be staging first, because they'll be getting that southern heat. So like this sort of area, I would look for some boat docks. Here's a really good one. I like when that bank gets close to it, like that channel swing. Even right here, this is a really good example. That guy, those fish are going to set up on a channel swing where it hits the bank. There might be some wood there. There might be a dock there. Skip your little Nico rig, that Z-Man bang stick down there, and you'll have a good shot at catching some of those fish. But that afternoon bite is definitely going to be a player around those shallower docks, because those largemouth like to get under them, and they're going to be using them. It's going to be a good time to catch up and coal. So let's keep going. You can see that was like the main river channel. We're going to keep working our way up. Instead of going up that branch, let's go. You can see this one's kind of cool. We got an island out here. Let's see if we zoom in, if we can get some action. So like this sort of thing. Let's see. If it's like, I also fished Lake Murray last year, and those bluebacks would come and they'd get on these long points. A lot of them, if you got to find a clay point, they'll actually set up on them and they'll push up the bait, and all of a sudden they'll just be schooling around you. And that's where I take that diesel minnow and just crawl it along past them, and you catch a lot of fish that way. This guy here, this is showing submerged road beds. Road beds can be good, some hard areas. Like this here, where there's like a hump, and it's got kind of like a saddle in it, that sort of area, the bluebacks will get on, push some bait up there. You can catch some largemouth doing that as well. Keep going back in these creeks, same thing with right in here. You got another shoal out here. Looks like it might, they got danger symbols on it. It must stick up a little bit. Have a chance of running into that one. You don't want to do that. Get back into some of these creeks over here. Look for those channel swings where they hit the bank. Let's see an example. Got a little one here. Got one that comes off that. Keep working our way up. Let's go. Which way do we want to go? Let's go this way. This guy's a little creek, a little thinner. You can work your way up there. Got some backwater. You got some standing timber. It shows back in some of these. So those fish, they'll all use that creek channel and they'll suspend right in those trees, which is pretty cool. It's a fun way to catch them. There's another good bank. It looks like that channel swing starts to get closer to there. It's worth taking a look at. But this is it's a big lake. There's a lot of area, a lot of different little pockets and creek arms, which is good, because then once you figure out what they're doing, you can actually set up and get a nice little pattern going and really run it throughout the whole place. This is interesting. You go back in here, it looks like it's like a big spawning flat. I don't know if this is correct, if this is, like, that's cool. Like that channel swing there, that bank. Another player that could be, I don't know how much you guys like throwing glide baits or know about it, but I had a buddy that fished the Classic in, I guess that was 2016,
2017, whenever they were at Hartwell that time, I think it was one Jordan Lee won. He was throwing a big glide bait, and he was getting a lot of big largemouth and spots to follow it out, but they wouldn't eat it. But those channel swings like that, it's a great place to throw glide bait. But you come back in here, you might be able to get on this. I bet this is riprap on this bridge here. Those fish will be, if it's warm, they'll stage all over that. They'll be kind of like that Browns Creek bridge that I was fishing at Guntersville, and Hank Cherry ended up winning it off of. So that's something I would 100% be going back and looking in. I like this little creek, that Reed Creek. That looks like a nice one. Again, there's channel swing bank right there. You can see the channel goes over here, works its way through. Got little offshoots on it. That's a pretty cool lake. I hope I get to fish it one day. I'm sure we were supposed to go there 2 years ago, and we had some COVID issues, and tournaments got canceled and moved around, so didn't make it that year. But it's definitely going to be worth taking a look at. I think it's going to be a big player. If I was guessing how much weight it's going to take to win this thing, I would guess it's probably going to be that mid-50s. It won't take, I don't think, 20 pounds a day, but it might be just off that. It might be 18, so what would that be? 54, 55 pounds like that. Hopefully it takes more. That'd be cool to watch them go have a nice big slugfest down there. But if you guys have any questions or comments, put them in the comments below. If you want to check out any other Lowrance videos, I got a whole playlist with how to look at live sonar, which is going to be a huge player here. That active target is legit. It's real. Everybody's going to want to be using it if they aren't already. And if you need any rods, favorite rods, I have a whole series called Favorite Rod for the Job, and it kind of goes over a bunch of rods and how I use them and what they're for. And that's kind of one of my deals. If you want to get one, you can use my code. It's GB20. You use that at checkout on Favorite Rod's website. And if you have any other questions, let me know. Do me a huge favor. I'd really appreciate if you subscribe to my channel here. We're growing quick, and I have lots of good content.